News Time is filmed on location with the man or woman that hosts it. Chad is definitely not innocent, and we will prove him guilty in the court of law.
It's News Time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White. Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the cops news you didn't know about. Call me a bad boy. After a little over 30 years, hundreds of arrests, and thousands of missing teeth, Cops ended its run due to ongoing police negativity in the press. Well, there's more to that, but this is a comedy news show, and so, yeah, I won't be able to do it justice. Cops isn't the only show getting second looks. Everything from Law & Order to Paw Patrol is being questioned. We've apparently been valorizing policing in the pop culture zeitgeist, even as the real-life profession has been targeting black and brown communities for the past, let's call it forever? The exact reason why Cops itself was canceled is currently being distilled in podcast form because that's how people pretend to feel real smart these days. The 6-part series running from Cops comes from Dan Taberski and producer Henry Molofsky, with the former of the two taking on hosting duties. Let's get that out of the way first. The show is a year old, pointing to this being a problem long before this year's current spate of deaths. And long before that, obviously, it was a problem 30 years ago too, and 300 years ago. But a pandemic is a thing that pulled this to the forefront when we live in a world where a studio had to redo a movie because a bunch of people were mad that Sonic the Hedgehog had teeth. Cops wasn't the only police-driven reality show to end its run. Live PD, a show featuring live arrests, I guess, was also sent to Rikers. Is that place still open? During a pandemic? What the hell is wrong with us? Live PD was pulled from A&E's schedule on June 6th and then swiftly canceled on the 10th in the midst of the nationwide protests. This is after the network ordered 160 brand new episodes to be produced just a few weeks prior. As a side note, a move like that to cancel your most watched show because of upheaval must be celebrated. How many companies that are posting about supporting Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ issues really care about those segments of people? Ben & Jerry's? Yes. Starbucks? Not so much. Also, Live PD featured an on-air death of a suspect in police custody, the footage of which was destroyed and covered up, so it should have been kicked to the curb a while ago. Highest rated cable show or not. The way we depict cops on television isn't how they act in real life. If any detectives got into as many explosive encounters as, say, Riggs and Murtaugh did, they would have been riding the desk for the rest of their careers, or worse. In shows and movies, cops are heroic and cool. They solve their cases in under 44 and 90 minutes. They're strong forces in the community, always giving the benefit of the doubt. Take Olivia Benson. She's the best officer in real and fake worlds. Benson fights for women's rights, trans, people of color, kids. She stays later than she should, worked her way up to be captain. Benson is the epitome of copdom, or take the detectives of Brooklyn Nine-Nine who go to comedic lengths in order to solve their cases. And the detectives of The Wire who embed themselves into their community to take down drug lords or something. I don't know. I never finished the show. It's just so heavy and I don't need that right now. But if anyone asks, I did watch it. Can you believe Stringer Bell? Unfortunately, these shows tend to make us believe that police are fighting on the right side when they're not. Sure, they can put on the shield and gun, but they're not really doing it all for the right reasons. A study from Color of Change titled Normalizing Injustice examined over 350 episodes of 26 crime-related shows, found that 64% of the bad guys of the shows were people of color or women. Victims of the crimes were mostly white men and women. Behind the camera didn't fare any better. 81% of showrunners were white men, and the same percentage pertained to the writer's room too. If we only have white men telling the stories of heroic white cops, then that's what we're going to get. Blue Bloods and SVU don't feature any black or writers of color, and that shows in the end product. No matter how much I love Tom Selleck's mustache. Cops and Live PD deserve to be canceled. We're not saying end all cop shows, though there are calls to do so. Shows just need to have accountability for what's shown on screen. And that starts behind the scenes. And in the streets, cops need to clean up their act before they can do the same with their communities. Speaking of things that can clean up, why don't you clean up and subscribe and check out one of our other videos? Of course, you can head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where there are so many great interviews with your favorite comedians that you'll be saying, Chad, you should be arrested for being so charming. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And it looks like it's time for me to head back to jail for being so charming. All right, bye.